As if the prior episode was not terrible enough. For this week, we received a very close runner-up to further validate the points I have made previously. With only 9 episodes allotted for the season, one would think that the showrunners would try to maximize each episode with the best stories of the game, rather than spending way too much time with some of them, and providing way too little from the actual main story. Unfortunately, the former holds true for this episode. While the subplot of Left Behind is by no means terrible, I do not believe that it deserved an entire episode at the expense of the main story. I mean, it is optional DLC of the first game for a reason. Given the trailer prior to screening, I already knew that indeed an entire episode will be spent on this subplot. But deep inside, I was somehow hoping that the winter plot in the game already started along with this side story. I rather would have the episode spent on Ellie, talking and dealing with the would-be antagonists, with flashbacks of Riley in the process, where it is appropriate to the events of the present, such as demonstrating Riley's prowess as a Firefly recruit, and teaching Ellie various survival tricks that she then applies in the present day to help out Joel. But instead, the entire episode went by just as I expected, given what we got in the previous episode, and arguably, in some respects, even worse. For one, it is quite convenient for Ellie and Riley to be able to encounter some random dead dude who is in possession of booze. I understand that it was needed to set the mood for what happens later, but it could have saved screen time if Riley had just possessed the bottle to begin with, or found someone she was exploring the mall on her own, and kept aside to share with Ellie. While essentially the episode followed the events of how it went down in the game. Once again, the game delivered it far better and far more convincing than this show ever did. They even removed one of the iconic lines of Riley in the game, at least for me personally. In the game, there's a conversation that went down with Ellie and Riley when Ellie found out that Riley is joining the Fireflies. She then says, "Who am I to stop you?" And Riley's response was, "The only one who can." To me, that was one of the more powerful lines in the DLC that clearly established the strong bond they had. It has become quite apparent that the production, without a shadow of a doubt, suffered from a manpower problem. It was even said prior to Ellie and Riley entering the mall that the place was supposed to be crawling with infected, which is what transpired in the game. Instead, we received literally a single infected, with 2 supposedly well-trained survivors struggling to defeat this one regular infected, and even managed to bite them both. Emphasis on the regular, as in the game, you encounter hordes of them, which is far more believable and is in line with the plot, which is why the vicinity was closed to begin with. I honestly have nothing more to say for this episode, as once again, much to my dismay, is disappointing. Just because this is based on a franchise that I generally like, does not mean I will extend leniency for its shortcomings. In fact, I should hold this to a higher standard, given how excellent the games are, and yes, that includes the second game. So what do you guys think of this episode? Sound off in the comments below. And if you have not already, do subscribe for more content. Thank you, and I will see you next time.